morning. My name is Chad Howard, and I'm here to do a Smith driving course. So if I told you about a program that can help save you money by reducing collision potential, by reducing fuel usage and maintenance, less stress and anxiety, and also saving you money on your insurance expenses, would you be interested in it? I would be too. So Smith system has been around for a very long time. A lot of companies use them. A lot of Fortune 500 companies use them. Some of these companies include trucking companies. If you ever notice that they actually stay far enough back from you, if you cut them off, they keep backing up. That's part of this system. They're following this system. Utility companies, a lot of them invest a lot of money in this system for their employees to help reduce the cost on wrecked vehicles and so forth. Petrochemical companies, packaging, delivery, UPS, FedEx, government entities, a lot of Secret Service uses them. Pharmaceutical companies, a lot of them use this system as well. So some of the collision statistics with Smith driving, instead of me going through the millions, I'm just going to break it down like a pyramid. So from 321 vehicles involved, you'll have 179 reported collisions, 69 injuries to 1 death. Now the actual total deaths on here is 35,000 from 11 million injuries, vehicles involved. But I think these statistics were from 2015, so if you look at it nowadays, the deaths are over 40,000. And comprehensive cost to society, it says 836 billion on here. That's now over 900 billion. Most of these vehicles, when they get crashed nowadays, they're just meant to be completely replaced and junked instead of repaired for the most part. So that's kind of why the comprehensive cost to society is as high as it is. But this system is here to try to help reduce these numbers. We want to try to save as many lives as possible. If you're going through a residential area and those kids are playing, say it's summertime, a ball comes across, this system is going to help you have time to react to that situation. So some of the collision causes, a lot of the most common ones are going to be speed. If you have a 90-degree curve and you're going too fast, a lot of them will roll these vehicles at that point. So speed has a lot to do with it. Health, if you're in bad health, you've had recent strokes or family heart disease situations, that could definitely have an impact while you're driving. Fatigue, how many times have you been tired at the end of the day and you're going home and you're not really paying attention to much, right? You're just tired, so fatigue can have a definite impact on collisions. Your attitude, I think that's a big one. Weather, tailgating, inattention, impairment, but inexperience. How many new drivers every year are on the road? And that's something that we need to pay attention to, something that we need to account for. You don't know where they learned to drive. You don't know how well they were learned to drive. So, that's going to have a big impact on collisions. But when you look at all of these causes, 90% of them are due to human error. And they take out weather. They say weather is really not human error, but could it be human error? Absolutely. So if it's wet, you need to slow down, right? Slow down, give a little more time. What if your tires are bald? So that goes to vehicle condition and plus the weather. So that's going to have an impact together, right? So Mother Nature, it's not really human error, but you could turn it into human error by not taking care of your stuff. So there's 3 primary goals for Smith driving. Well, one of them is space for the vehicle. Number 2 is going to be visibility for the driver. And number 3 is going to give us enough time to make a well thought out decision. So within the Smith system, key 1 is going to be look ahead at minimum of 15 seconds. It's aim high and steering. So we want to look ahead at a minimum of 15 seconds. Does that mean you can't look ahead 20 or 25 seconds? No, you can look ahead a little further if you have that ability to do it. Typically, you don't want to go 30 seconds ahead because now you're getting too far. There's a lot of things that can happen, within that time period. So you want to keep it around a minimum of 15 seconds. Around 20 seconds would be really ideal. So, for example, with this, if I'm looking at the back of the room, I can see y'all in front of me. But I'm just looking at the front row. Now I can't see anything in the back. So that's a change in how you're able to look ahead. So when you're first born, or when you start driving, you've been walking everywhere, so now you're looking 3 to 6 seconds ahead, right? Naturally. So now you need to train yourself to look 15 seconds ahead. It's something you got to work on. It's something we got to train ourselves to do. Key 2, get the big picture. This key, you want to have a 4-second minimum follow distance to the driver in front of you. That's what some of them truckers are doing when you pull out in front of them. They're backing up. If you have a trailer or a dually, you want to give yourself an extra 2 seconds for a 6-second minimum. So you also want to scan your mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds, and that's going to give you a 360-degree view of the vehicle. And so you want to be able to try to make sure you know what's going on around your vehicle as much as possible, and that's going to give you the big picture of what's going on around you. And key 3 is keep your eyes moving. So avoid focusing on any object for more than 2 seconds. To avoid daydreaming, avoid staring at fixed objects. Talk about that drive home, right? Now you're tired, fatigue is set in, so now you want to just daydream about some of the things, or maybe some of the things you want to do when you get home. Maybe your kids have soccer games, basketball games, football games, or whatever. So you might be thinking of other things, and you might not be in the moment and really focused on your driving. And so if you keep your eyes moving, you'll be more alert, and you'll be able to see some of them animals that might run out in front of you. That's going to help reduce our collisions, right? And key 4, leave yourself an out. Let's surround ourselves with as much space as possible around the vehicle. This is part of that 360-degree view. In the Metroplex, it might be a little harder to give ourselves that space, but it's not impossible. There are ways, there's holes you can try to get yourself to. There's some of the shoulders you can use to try to make sure you have an out right there. And then number 5 is make sure they see you. Let's seek eye contact to the pedestrians. You want to make sure they see you. If say you're in Fredericksburg, Texas, it's a main street, it's just packed. If you ever been there, they park on Main Street and it's real tight trying to get through there. So if you try to go through their RV, trailer, or anything, it can get real tight. Well, then you add pedestrians to that. They're on their phone, they have earbuds in their ears, they're not paying attention. So now it's going to be even harder to make sure they see you, right? So some of that comes back to you, that you need to try to make sure that you're looking out for them a little bit. And one thing to think about with the Smith driving and all these keys, it's like a team. If you have a team that works really well together, football team, baseball team, any type of team, but if you have a team that works really well together, you take one person away from that team, it can change the effect, right? It happens every day in Major League sports. When they trade a player, now that dynamic of that team has changed. So if you take these keys and you take one of these keys out, now you just change the dynamic of how these keys will be able to operate. So if you practice these keys just like you would your hobby, and you take the time to perfect them, it'll become second nature. And then if you pass this on for generations, then we can all become better drivers together.